My friend Jacob, a kid known for his great sense of humor and devouring his mic, has gone missing, and no one who knows him has seen or been able to get a hold of him for the past 2 weeks. The group chat this started with consisted of me, my friends Brandon, Austin, Jacob, Michael, and Richter. The first 4 people mentioned are the closest to him and played games regularly. But nobody knew Jacob as well as Austin, as they were best friends and inseparable when put in the same room. So it came as no surprise that when Austin caught wind of his disappearance, he was utterly devastated. I had happened to plan a trip with this friend group to the local theme park before his disappearance. It was supposed to take place sometime next week. I was able to confirm that everyone was going, all except Jacob, who was nowhere to be found. But my mom was able to get a hold of his mom and get a response, meaning that the people he lives with haven't disappeared, which begs the question, did his mom have something to do with his disappearance? Before I jump to any conclusions, though, I want to ask his friends on their thoughts of the matter. And who better to start with but his best friend? So I've been piecing together Jacob's disappearance, and I've come to the conclusion that his mom is still around and not disappeared. So according to that, maybe his entire family hasn't disappeared, and they might be behind his disappearance. Do you have any, insight?
Well, Jacob disappearing isn't really an uncommon thing, though the fact that he's not responding to an urgent matter, well, not really too urgent, but something as urgent as a meeting up with a friend group can be a little surprising, though. I doubt that his family has anything to do with his disappearance. Other than his brother Eli, I doubt that anybody in his family would hold a high enough grudge to, get him out.
Yeah, I could see where you're coming from. Jacob just has a very lovable face. I mean, look at that. You can't not love that face. After listening to Austin's story and drawing my own conclusions from it, I've come to the bitter assumption that Jacob hasn't just gone missing, but has been murdered in cold blood. But why would someone want to murder him? Some sort of vendetta or hidden agenda? It's hard to figure out why someone would want to target an awkward 13-year-old middle schooler, but then I realized that what was happening now was lining up with what I said earlier. The only people who would have had anything against him were the people who would affect him most, his friends and his family. His mom was my prime suspect earlier, but this just widens the door for more possibilities. And the biggest suspect as far as friends go would be Michael. See, Michael is a Minecraft server that everyone in the group chat would play on consistently, but one day when nobody else was online, Jacob and Austin decided to work together and beat the game without anyone else online. Now this act didn't hurt too many people, but it did affect Michael. It hurt him so much that he was going to ban both Jacob and Austin from the server, which he didn't do. But something else he didn't do was forgive, and that could have sprouted into anger and hatred, which could have eventually grown into murderous intent, which now puts him on the top list of my suspects. But if this is true, Austin will be next, and that means I need to either find out if it's him and hand him over to the authorities, or decide he is not the culprit and fast, because Austin's life is on the line. I decided the best thing to do in this scenario would be to question him personally and carefully take my next steps after that. The thing is, Michael wasn't answering my calls or my texts, which is very suspicious. So, I decided to talk about this with my best friend Brandon. So, I gathered up evidence for Jacob's murder that we have both evaluated to be true, and he's not living with us anymore. And I figured that maybe it was Michael or his mom, but I've evaluated his mom out of the equation due to me and Austin's interview that we did earlier. So I wanted to ask you what your thoughts on the matter were. Austin and Jacob both could be prime targets of Michael because they both beat the Ender Dragon without him, and he could have formed a personal vendetta against them both and only got to Jacob first. What do you think?
I think Michael is not got it in him to kill somebody.
Yeah, I mean, he is built like a stick.
Not a stick, they're built like him.
After consulting with Brandon, we came to the conclusion that even if Michael tried to kill Jacob, he couldn't because he would snap in half even if he tried. He's too flimsy. No offense. But that rules out Michael. And Jacob's mom. His brother wouldn't kill him, he's too small to be able to hurt Jacob, so it also rules out him. And his father's always at work. So for the sake of saving time, I'm just going to assume it's one of us, leaving me with the 3 last suspects: Brandon, Austin, and Richter. Richter barely knows Jacob. In fact, I don't know if they ever spoke to each other, even once. And even if they did, it would be in the slightest way, and they wouldn't be more than acquaintances. Due to the fact that Rick isn't part of our Minecraft server yet, I don't think he would even have a secret plan to do anything to Jacob, let alone murder him. And even if he did, I'm sorry, but I'm putting him in the same category as Michael here. Yeah, I mean, he is built like a stick. So the final two people that remain are Brandon and Austin, which happen to be the two people that he spends most of his time with. The biggest question to find out who the culprit is, though, would be who had the most to gain from murdering him. And I think that would have to go to Austin, considering the fact that their families are so close, and that they share a lot of things like a base in Minecraft as shown earlier. And if Jacob would mysteriously die, he would be given a good amount of Jacob's things because of this. But as I pinpointed the target suspect, I needed one more thing, actual evidence, and I don't know where I would get any. So the closest thing I could do would probably make Austin confess without any, which means I need to confront him. Piecing together the facts that I've gathered from my investigation on the sudden disappearance of Jacob, I've come to the sad conclusion that the culprit for this murder is none other than you. You had the most to gain, you were the closest to him, it was the easiest to pull off, and his best friend, so you would be the last person to think of when finding a murderer. What do you have to say for yourself?
I mean, it was worth it, I feel.
What? You you monster! You killed Jacob! No!
It's not like you can do anything about it. He's gone. Hidden in a mountain or whatever in some random country.
No!
Try all you like. I got some strings that I can pull if you ever send the police after me.
No!